Did you know that Jesus is always with us?
Even in the middle of a life storm?
That's right, I'm Buckle.
And I'm Isla.
And welcome to
The Link Show.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Link Show. We've had fun so far in Term 2 and I've loved seeing all of your arts and crafts.
But Buckle, what are we doing today?
That's a really good question. At the beginning, we've got a really cool craft that reminds us that we can trust in Jesus even in the storm.
After that, we're looking at your arts and crafts.
You are so talented. After that, we're going to look at today's animated Bible story, and then Isla, what happens at the end?
The Bible quiz.
The Bible quiz. It's going to be heaps and heaps of fun. So, we're going to get started on today's craft, which looks like this. And while we get colouring in and creating, why don't you go check out Preach Part 1. Hey Link crew, Buckle here, and you might notice that I am somewhere a little bit different today. That's because I am in a different city. I am in a city called London. That's right, I am literally on the other side of the world to where we normally film, which is in Australia, around the Gold Coast. And I want to tell you a little bit of a story about how I got here. So I got up super early on Monday morning. I went and caught a train that took me up to the airport, and then I had to go and hop on an aeroplane that took me from Brisbane all the way over to Perth, which is on the other side of Australia. Then I had to wait a couple of hours in Perth, and then I got on this really big aeroplane, and then I had to sit on that aeroplane for 19 hours. That's right, 24 hours is a whole day, so 19 hours. That's like 19 movies. It is such a long trip. But here's the thing, while we're on the aeroplane, it's not always smooth sailing. Sometimes when you're on an aeroplane, you go through pockets of air that are a little bit shaky. And so on this trip, it wasn't really bad. It was actually pretty decent. But sometimes you'd be in the chair and the plane's going, and all of a sudden the plane would do a bit of shake, and you'd be like, oh, what's going on? And then it would stop and you'd be okay. But I've had times when I've been on aeroplanes and it's been like through storms, and so there's like lightning outside and there's rain and the plane is shaking around, and you know what? It's safe, but it can be a little bit scary. And I was thinking, like, there's nothing I can do right now. I am out of control. We're on this aeroplane and I have to put my trust in the pilot. He's down the front, he's behind the door, I can't see him, I don't know what he's doing, there's nothing I can do to help. I have to trust that the pilot knows what's going on and the pilot is going to get me to my destination, that the pilot will keep me safe. And I was thinking about that because sometimes in life it can feel exactly the same. Things can go wrong, someone might hurt your feelings, it might feel like your world gets a little bit shaky, just like on the aeroplane. And I was thinking, what are we meant to do when we feel like our life is a little bit shaky? Are we meant to run down to the pilot door and bang on the door and be, pilot, help! What are you doing? Are you keeping us safe? Or am I meant to put my trust in the pilot? And who is the pilot when it comes to our lives, when it comes to making decisions every single day? Because I know that even though some of you might be young in prep or grade 1 or grade 2, sometimes you have really good days at school or with your friends, and sometimes you have bad days where things don't go the way you wanted, and maybe you go home sad or crying or upset. Those days can feel like the aeroplane that's up in the sky and it's bouncing around, but you don't know what to do. It feels like it's out of your control. Well, a little later on, I want to tell you a story about the disciples. That's right, the disciples that were with Jesus, because they went through some scary things as well. And you might think, oh, well, they're Jesus' disciples, so they were brave and they were strong and they did the right thing. Nope, they got just as scared as you and me, and they were able to learn a lesson from Jesus, which is something we're going to learn as well, but we're going to check that story out in just a minute. Welcome back, everybody. We have done our craft. Now, we're going to start with what Isla's done, because this is what you need to do first. Can you hold it up and show what you've done? It says, faith in the storm, and Isla's done some grey storm clouds and some yellow lightning. So I love this, but what do we need to do, Isla, after we've coloured it in? Before we roll it up, we need to stick some crepe paper along the bottom here.
And then we'll fold it up.
You want to show what we do? You roll it up?
So we'll put it there, and then we'll fold it up like this.
Yep.
Connect the back bits, and then there'll be a handle.
And it will look like this.
See, it says faith in the storm, and so you can hang it and it'll like wave around in the wind. You can put it inside if you want to as well. Let's see, faith in the storm, and there's like a boat on there. Where is it? There's the boat, and we have another faith in the storm on this side. I've used some twine to hang it. It's pretty special.
And you can use any colors you want.
There is a microphone. Should I hang it on the microphone?
Yeah.
That's a bit silly. But hey, while we pull this back down, let's check out your arts and crafts. Okay, we're not going to put it there because then you can't see us, but we're very happy with this. We're very happy with all of your creation, but right now, let's go check out today's animated Bible story.
Say hello to Jesus. Jesus, the Son of God, the Savior of the world. And while Jesus was here on earth, he traveled around telling people how much God loved them and healing their sick. One day, Jesus was down by the sea, teaching his disciples. But so many people had gathered to hear him speak that he had to get into a boat and push off into the water a little bit. He sat in the boat and spent the day teaching his disciples using stories and pictures. But it was now the evening of that day, and Jesus said to his disciples, "Let's go by boat to the other side." So after sending the people away, they took Jesus with them in the boat, and it was the same boat that he had used to teach them. And there were other boats that were traveling along with them. But not soon after they left, a bad wind came up, a big storm. Waves started coming over the side of the boat. The boat was filling with water, but by now Jesus had fallen asleep in the back of the boat after spending the day teaching. The disciples were so scared. They came to Jesus. They woke him up crying, "Teacher, don't you care? We're about to die." Jesus got up, saw the storm and the winds, and he spoke to the storm. He said, "Be quiet, be still." And at once, the wind stopped blowing. There were no more waves. A calm covered the area. Jesus turned to his followers and said, "Why are you so full of fear? Don't you have faith?" The disciples looked at each other and said, "Who is this man that even the wind and the waves obey him?" Okay, I absolutely love this story because it's actually a little bit funny. You think about it, the disciples are in this boat, there's a massive storm, they're freaking out, they're yelling, they're running around, they're probably trying to get buckets to throw water out of the boat, they're panicking, and Jesus, when they go and find him, is literally fast asleep. He's like not even worried. He's not even like woken up by the storm. Like I know if I'm asleep on a plane or if I'm asleep in the car and there's like lightning and thunder, I wake up. Even if I'm not scared, I wake up. But Jesus was so calm that even in the middle of this crazy storm, Jesus is like happily asleep, not even worried. And the disciples are like, "What are you doing? It's a storm. Wake up. What is going on?" And so Jesus wakes up and he's like, "Storm, shh." And then the storm stops. Jesus says to them, he says, "Why were you so afraid?" In other words, yes, the storm was big. Yes, it looked a little bit scary, but didn't you trust the pilot? Now, who was the pilot? Now, obviously, they were the ones sailing the boat, but when it comes to our lives, who is the pilot? The pilot is the one who is in control, the one choosing the direction. And so you can try and be the pilot of the life yourself, or you can let God be the pilot of your life. And that's what Jesus was saying. Jesus was in the boat, and he's saying, look, God is the pilot of my life. Wherever God wants me, that's where we're going to go. So why were we afraid? God was in control. God was the pilot and he was going to get us there safely. You didn't need to be afraid. You see, it's the same when I'm on those airplanes and they get a little bit bouncy. I have to trust that the pilot is in control. And the truth is for your lives, when things get scary and things get a little bit crazy, yes, it can make us worried. That's okay. That's normal. Even the disciples got scared. These were the people that spent time with Jesus and even they got scared. So if you get scared or if you get worried, it's totally fine. We all do. But what do we need to do? We need to stop and remember who's our pilot, who's in control. God is in control. The Bible says that nothing happens without God knowing. He is even aware of the tiniest bird in the field and the flowers that grow. He knows every single detail. He even knows how many hairs are on your head. God is aware of everything. When we let our lives be in His control, we can always trust that He's going to get us to where we need to be the way He wants us there. And so yes, bad things happen. That's going to happen to all of us. But what we trust is that even though bad things happen, when we trust God, He's going to get us through the bad and He's going to get us to the good that He has in store for all of us. And so this is the big point. It's what I want us to remember today, that we can have faith in the storm. In other words, I can see the storm. It's pretty scary. It's got me a bit worried. But faith is when we say, even though there's a storm, God, I'm putting my trust in You, knowing You're going to get me there. So why don't we all say, I can have faith in the storm. We're going to say it together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I can have faith in the storm.
All right, welcome back. It's time for the
Bible
quiz. It's going to be fun. The way it works is I'm going to ask a question from today's story and give you 2 possible answers. If you think the first answer is correct, put your hands on your head. If you think the second answer is correct, put your hands on your shoulders. Here we go. Question number 1. Where were the disciples when the storm came? Were they in their house or were they in a boat? You've got 5 seconds. Okay, Isla, what do you think the answer is?
They were in a boat.
That's right, they were out in a boat, out on the water with a storm. That sounds a little scary to me. Here we go with question number 2. How did the disciples feel when they saw the storm? Were they super duper brave or did they get really scared? You've got 5 seconds. Okay, Isla, what do you think the answer is?
They got really scared.
They did. They got really, really scared. Question number 3. When the storm came, what was Jesus doing? Was He fast asleep or was He playing a board game? You've got 5 seconds. Isla, what do you think the answer is?
Playing a board game.
No, he was fast asleep. He wasn't scared at all. Next question. When the disciples woke Jesus up, what did He say to the wind and the waves? Did He say, whoa, that's a really big wave? Or did He say, be quiet? You've got 5 seconds. Isla, what do you think the answer is?
Be quiet.
That's right, He told the wind and the storms to be quiet. And here we go with the last question. When Jesus told the storm to be quiet, what happened? Did the storm keep going? Or did the storm stop? You've got 5 seconds. Isla, what do you think the answer is?
The storm stopped.
That's right, the wind and the waves and the storm obeyed Jesus. And you know what? I think that's good for us to learn, because even when we go through storms in life, we can always trust that Jesus is with us.
And that He loves us too.
That's right, I'm Buckle.
And I'm Isla.
And we'll see you next week on The Link Show. Bye.